finally getting back to these Rise and Grind masterminds officially. Like we have a whole lineup coming. I'm so excited for the upcoming guests. And today we have one of my favorites, April Bradshaw. She is down in Texas and she is killing it in her market. And I love everything that she has to say. So I wanted to have her on. She's been on once before and was talking about farming, and it just like got our brains spinning and so many ideas. So I had to bring her back on. And today she's going to talk about your social media strategy and if you actually need a strategy. So I'm going to hand it over to April. So if you want to do a quick intro and tell us all about yourself and keep going.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me back. You guys it was such an honor to be here the first time. I really appreciate it. You guys were great. So when I got asked to come back, of course, the answer was yes. And I love it. So a little bit about me. I have been a teacher and a coach for 10 years previous to real estate. I am going on my 9th year of real estate. And I have a team here in Pearland, and I've realized through real estate, like I do love real estate, but I've always in the last like 2 or 3 years kind of put a different perspective on it. Like, why do I love it? You know, like there's always something more for me. And for me, coming from, the sports background, whether playing sports or coaching sports, and being a teacher, I just feel like that is exactly what I love the most about real estate, is that it's bringing me to those relationships, whether it's other agents that I get to work with and help, or adults. I'm coaching and teaching adults making big decisions in their lives. So it kind of all goes full circle, but I really think that I'm loving this coaching part of it and just giving back as much as I can, because I remember what it's like, or even to this day, failing forward and faking it until I make it. There's just always somebody that I need to go to and ask for advice. There's always someone that I'm looking up to and saying, hey, how did she do that? Or if she did that, or he did that, I can do that. So it's just a constant growth for me. And Instagram has become, in the last 12 months, because of COVID, that one thing where you talk about fear of missing out, it was Instagram for me. I'll never forget the week sitting on my couch when the whole world is shutting down. And I see all of these agents getting on Instagram and like building these remote businesses and doing everything virtual. And I'm just like, like everything's falling apart. Like, what are we going to do? And so I had this fear of missing out. And all this time all these years, I've not had the time to do much with social media. Well, now that COVID was here last year in March, that's all we had time to do was sit at our computer and build content and learn how to do things. And so that's when it started for me, literally a year ago, or March to 2020. It's basically when I started posting and deciding to go all in on Instagram and building a business there. So I will dive right in. Nikki, you guys ready for me just to start, or y'all want to follow up with some questions? Y'all want me to just dive into this?
Why don't you go ahead and just dive in? And then what we'll do is we'll plan on having like the last 15 minutes or so for questions, or, if anybody has a question that they want to ask, just hit the chat and say, hey, I have a question, and we'll stop April so you can get your question answered. Okay. So go ahead, April, take it away.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So the question of this, or the topic of this mastermind, is, are you overthinking your social media strategy? And I'm going to just answer that for you and say, yes, you absolutely are. Okay. We all are. We do it every single day. No matter if I'm teaching you this and going over with you, it's because I do this on a daily basis. I do this every single day. I second guess. I will scroll through somebody's stuff and catches my eye, and I'm like, gosh, here's another person that's just killing it and doing way better than I'm doing. They have more followers than I'm doing. Her pictures, her makeup, her this, her reels. Like I do the same exact thing. You guys, I do it all day long. Comparison is the thief of joy, but we do it. We're just human. That's just what we do. And so the best part that I can tell you is that, are we ever going to stop being that person? Probably not. But there's ways to change your mindset about it. You've got to be able to recognize that when you're in that moment of comparing yourself to everyone else on Instagram, is just to stop and catch it and say, hey, I'm here scrolling through this for educational purposes. What can I learn from them? Just because they're doing it better or it looks better, what can I take away from that person? What is it that she's doing that I can learn from her or him? Instead of comparing, like, I'll never be there. So just as soon as you catch yourself in that mindset of comparison, that you're just not as good as they are, you don't have what they have, then change it. Just flip the script and say, what is it that I can take away from them? So that would be my biggest piece of advice, and just not overthinking your strategy and how to implement that into you. Okay. So first of all, the first question you got to ask yourself is, what is the social media strategy? How do you even know if you're overthinking it if you don't even know what the strategy is? So you've got to be able to define it for you, because every single person is using Instagram differently. So that's one way that you cannot compare yourself to the next person, is because they may not be all in, or they might have could say, hey, 90% of my business comes from Instagram, I'm all in. You've got to figure out what that looks like for you. Are you going to go all in, or are you going to just put your toe in the water, or are you just going to be consistent across the board? Okay. You've got to determine what your strategy looks like, because everybody's strategy is different. So what you want to do with your strategy is you want to outline your goals. What does that look like for you? What is it that you are trying to get out of Instagram? One of the biggest questions that I get is, am I getting paid for, do I see a return on my investment in this? And I will tell you, from March until December, I was doing it on my own. I went into copying contracts and modern agents and started buying my content just like a life vest. Like, I needed somebody to help me at least get started with that and kind of figure out what to do. So I do use those two companies. But I decided what was my goal. And my goal is to get to 10,000 followers. Now, followers don't mean anything. We've learned that, but this is where I started, right? I want to get to 10,000 followers just because. But what I also want to learn through this process is that our engagement, which I'll talk to you guys in just a little bit, our engagement on social media is more important than how many followers that we have. You can get paid, and I'm not saying by promotional ads or anything like that. You can get paid that way too. But engaging and showing up and being in a relationship with these people on social media is where I'm making the money at. So since from March 2020 to December 2020, I was just playing around with it, just being consistent, putting those still pictures on there, learning how to use the hashtags, learning how to do all those things. And then I finally hired a marketing coordinator, because I said, you know what? I do not have time to do these activities, right? But these are necessary activities. And so that was posting for me. So we plan out the content, we use a calendar, we use a scheduler, we post. But you will notice, for those of you that have noticed or don't know, the secret to our sauce is that the person that's engaging on Instagram more than likely is not me, and you can always tell the difference between the two. Now, however, the person that is doing it, her name is Taylor. She used to be an old athlete of mine. I used to coach her in high school. So she knows my personality very well. She speaks like I do. She knows that anything that I say, it's coming from my heart. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have her. I got very lucky finding somebody that speaks like me and knows how I articulate my words. Very direct, very upfront, but very positive, very encouraging. She does a great job like that. But she doesn't use as many bad words as I do. So if there's bad words in there, you can tell that's probably me. Or if I'm really short with my answer or just give you an emoji, that's probably me. But if DMs, more than likely, that's always going to be in the DMs, unless you're just asking for checklists. So leverage out. That's a long story. Leverage out. You guys, you can get a freaking college kid or high school kid that wants to make $10 an hour that will sit there and engage on your stuff. Now, make sure that they're doing it correctly, because we're wanting to build relationships with these people. I mean, you still have to show up. Just because I have a marketing coordinator that's engaging for me, she's engaging with my strangers, people. She's not engaging with my close friends and they're like the people that I need to be showing up with. Okay. Because there's nothing worse than showing up at the grocery store and seeing somebody that you were supposedly talking to on Instagram, and they'd be like, yeah, remember that question that I asked you? Remember that post? And no, I don't. So even though I'm hiring someone out to do those things, I've got to be engaged. Okay. So know your strategy, know what your goals are. What is it that you want to get out of that? Since December, from December until today's date, we've had about 8 to 10. I need to go back and count my numbers. We had 8 to 10 referral partners from other agents outside of our state or a city. So that is what I realized. Like, I couldn't fathom, like, how am I supposed to be getting paid from Instagram? How is it supposed to be paying off? So when people are like, are you getting paid? I'm like, who's going to call me? Starbucks? Like, who's going to call me and want me to be an influencer for them? I could never process why people are asking me that. But also, what I want to tell you with this is that this is just like farming. The return on your investment in social media is going to take a long time. So if you're not seeing immediate, money coming from that, whether, you're not getting paid sponsors yet, but leads that are coming in from either people in your city or your town, we've got those, which is so wild. I never thought that would have happened. And then other agents, have you not gotten that, referrals from them? Then you're not showing up. You're not showing up as that person. You're not showing up as a trusted official or a trusted person for that area. So that needs to be your strategy. You've got to figure out who you're talking to, why are you talking to them, and what is your immediate outcome. That's part of your strategy. Okay. All right. Should you list all your existing, and so all your accounts, like whatever ones that you're going to count, your social media accounts, whether you're going to start with Facebook and then Instagram, whichever one you're going to do first, map them out, because you're not going to show up exactly the same in all of them. All we do is we post all of our content for Instagram, and then I repurpose things for Facebook. For example, Facebook is like ghost town as far as the business page is concerned. But what I will do is that's where I post like my listings, my coming soons, my solds. I will put more of the real estate, the pictures of the houses and the things like that on Facebook. Now that's Facebook business. Facebook personal is 100% me. There's nobody in there engaging. But you guys, that's where my sphere is. That's where my people are. That's my moms. Those are the people that do what I do. They're on Facebook. Now, are they transitioning over to Instagram? Yeah, the numbers are actually getting higher for Instagram for people like that. But I've got to continue to show up in Facebook as me. And it's so funny, March of 2020, I could not stand Instagram. I did not like Instagram. And now I'm like, I love Instagram. And every time I have to go back in Facebook, I'm like, oh, womp womp. Like it's a job for me. Okay. So plan out where you're going to do your social media. Where do you want to show up? Why do you need to show up there? And then plan your content according to that. Okay. Now, one of the other places that you guys cannot forget about social media when you're just focusing on social media is Google. You guys, SEO is still the most important thing. People are not going to Instagram to find a real estate agent. They're just not doing that yet. Okay. What they're doing is they're just accidentally coming across your page and they're getting to know you on there. All right. They're not going in there right now and saying local real estate agent in Pearland. They're not doing that. Okay. For the most part. Now you will have yours because those people that will do that because they're true Instagram, they love Instagram more, but that's not really the case. They're still going to Google to search for real estate agents. So you still got to make sure that you're showing up. So whatever we post on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, we also are putting into our Google business account. And so Google business is just like Facebook or Instagram. You can make posts, you can share things. And another thing that is amazing that we've done part job on, we're fixing to dive into that now that I got Instagram under control, is YouTube. YouTube has YouTube Shorts. The SEO for YouTube is amazing. Now, don't just sit there and go, oh, gosh, this is one other thing that I've got to add to this. Okay. Everybody is different. There are some people that like to cold call just like for leads, and there are some people that don't. You've got to figure out how you want to show up on social media and which platform that you want to show up in and be the expert in that. Okay. Because that's what's going to drive you coming back every single day. So when you're planning out a strategy, you need to figure out where you want to show up and how you want to show up. Okay. But don't forget about your SEO on the internet. Okay. So do you want to set goals for your strategies? How many followers by X amount of date? So like the perfect date right now is by the end of this year. How many followers do you want to have? It's not important, but it's something that you can measure and you need to track. It's just one of those things. So you need to say, realistically, I will tell you from January 1 until today's date, we've grown almost 6,000 followers. So our goal by the end of the year is to be at 10, and we should be able to do that in the next 4 months. Okay. So you've got to see your growth and how fast you're growing and get to that point. Now, there's a whole nother class on how to grow followers and how to get that, but organically and have followers that are actually going to engage. Okay. It's one thing just to have a bunch of followers, but we want followers that are going to engage with us. Okay. So that's a whole nother story too. This is what I'm going to talk to you guys about. We're going to brief through it real quick, but it's probably the most important thing when you're planning out your social media strategy. Who are you talking to? If you do not know who you're posting content for, you will stare into space. That'll be your biggest waste of time, is because you don't know who you're talking to on Instagram. Who are you trying to attract? Okay. Is it moms? Is it divorced people? Is it empty nesters? Who are you talking to? Is it your city, the people in Pearland, where you live, other agents? Who are you trying to get people to come to your page? I should be able to pull up your page and know exactly where you work, what you do, and how you can help me. Okay. So if I look at your page and I have no idea what you're selling, who you are, what you do for a living, where you sell real estate, you need to look, you need to do an audit on your profile. That's a big thing. I can't tell you, even to this day, I still can look on people's stuff. I always do that. If you send me a DM, the first thing I do is go to view profile, because I want to know where you live. I want to know where you work, right? And I will tell you that 50 to 60% of the people that I click on view profile, I cannot tell what city they work in. Okay. And again, you guys know, you've heard me talk about this, niching down is a whole other class, but that's the most important thing when you're going to get ready to create your content, is who are you talking to? So you got to create a client avatar. You need to learn everything that you can about your audience so that you can create content that they will like, they will comment, and they will share. If you're just out here producing stuff and no one is liking, commenting, or sharing on your stuff, then you don't have the right audience. Okay, so you got to figure out who you're talking to and how it relates to them. Okay, one of the things that I always think about too is email campaigns. You guys, the first time I get into my email, and I unsubscribed to every single thing, and I know that I had to put my email in when I was checking out at the store, and then they literally send you an email every single day, and I will unsubscribe. So I always think about what puts me off? Like if I see somebody doing something on Instagram, I'm like, don't do that. Don't be that person. Okay. Because that's not who I want to be. That's not how I want to show up. So use that as a motivator for you, is how you want to show up, how you would want to be talked to on Instagram, because that's who you're attracting. Yes, you're attracting people like you. Okay. One of the things that you want to know when you look at your avatar is the age, the location, where do they live? Do they have the same jobs as you? What interests do they have? Okay. One of the next things you want to do is go through, if you're not on a business account or a creator account, you're still on a private or a public one, a personal, you need to switch over immediately. Okay, that's like old news. All right, but when you're doing that, you need to be able to see your insights, and you need to be able to understand what it is that you're looking for what's working and what's not working. You guys can see the difference in the two. One of the things that blows my freaking mind is if I took a selfie right now of me with my camera saying, oh, look, I'm doing, a mastermind today, and I posted this, I would have almost 75% more engagement and or likes and comments and shares on that selfie from my phone than I did from the photoshopped, super clean and dressed up professional picture that I took sitting behind the desk with a fake computer and coffee mug. It's a true story. Like, they love it. People like it. Okay. They want to see your face. They want to see the real you. Now, it looks nice to have those pictures done. So yes, you need to do that. But here's a rule of thumb. 80% of what you're doing is the professional side, is your brand, or 80% of it is the professional side. And then 20% of that needs to be you. Okay. Just real you, who you are as a mom or a sister, aunt, uncle, whatever it is that you do. And how you show up in real life. If you're a dog mom, and the other 20%, you are the brand of your business. So make sure that you're showing up as that person too. Okay. Look and see who's engaging. Go through your comments and see who is engaging on your stuff. If it's other agents, that's fantastic. Those are referral people. Make sure you're engaging back with them. You treat people how to treat you. Okay. So if you're on social media and you're being social with these people, you're showing them this is how you show up. So if you give an emoji in a comment, guess what? You're going to get an emoji back. All right. Make sure that you're calling people by their first name. Make sure you're asking questions about their stuff. Don't just go in there and click on the video and say, hey, great video. No, watch the whole entire freaking video, and whatever's at the end, ask them a question about the end. Say, oh my gosh, I didn't know you were from, or that's a really cool comment, whatever, but say something about the video. All right. You're teaching people how to treat you. Okay. Look and see who's engaging, because that's your client avatar. How does your presence compare to your competition? So look at other people in your city and see how you're showing up against them. Now, you're not trying to mimic what they're doing. You need to stay unique and be true to yourself. But you need to understand that I have a fear of missing out. That's a big thing for me. I'm super petty, and there ain't no way in heck that I want somebody to be better at something than I am in my own city. Okay. So I'm going to go look and see how they're showing up. Good news is I feel like I'm still holding it down. It hasn't, I feel like people are trying to get on the Instagram wagon and do things around here, but I don't think that it's really picked up as much as I'm shocked since COVID. But be on top of your game, be on top of this, make sure that you're the pioneer of this. Okay. And if there's somebody out there that's doing it better than you, go get it, go chase it down, do better than they are, and learn from them. Okay. Let's see. Account. Find inspiration. Look at other people outside of your industry. If you're looking for reels, if you're looking for content, if you like someone's feed and their profile, look and see what they're doing. How are they doing it? I follow all the real estate agents because we engage with them. But when I'm looking at reels, I literally try not to do exactly what they're doing. I look at reels for other people and do that. Like I click on the bottom and click on reels and I'll just scroll through there. And of course, some real estate agents come through there, but for the most part, it's not. What I do is I just try to figure out how does that relate to me as myself, as a mom who I'm trying to attract, the people that I'm trying to attract, can it be funny for me? Or is it some content that I can repurpose and put into my profile? Okay, so find this inspiration. That's part of your strategy. That's part of your time blocking. You literally should be time blocking 30 minutes, like every other day. I would say probably 2 hours a week for inspiration. And when I say time block this is so important because I'm speaking at myself. I can literally spend 30 minutes to 3 hours thinking that I'm finding inspiration, but I'm sending reels and TikToks to my friends. I'm like, oh my gosh, did you see this? And 3 hours went by and I didn't get anything done. So make sure you're being purposeful and intentional with creating your content. Okay. So if you're looking for inspiration, look for inspiration. That's not your social media happy hour time for you personally. Do that some other time. Okay. You want to create a content calendar. I have a content calendar. Which is so crazy. I don't know. I never say that I came up with anything because I don't. I just saw it somewhere, but I'll never remember where. And I just try to do it better. So what I've done is I created, when I first started this, the content calendar. It's not new. I've realized through this whole year now that people have been doing this and putting it out there, and I probably saw it from someone else. But what I did is what I started with, because I didn't know how to process my thoughts. I'm super ADHD and I've got to stay focused. And it also all started because when I looked at Instagram in March of 2020 is that everybody had like a cute picture here, a quote here, and everything like had a zigzag and all these patterns. And I was like, there's no way in heck that I'm ever going to remember when to post something and how to do it to keep this zigzag quote white, this box yellow, or whatever it is that I was trying to do. And then thank gosh that everybody said, you know what, that is so 1980. We're not trying to make our profiles look in some sort of pattern anymore. And I was like, thank you, Jesus. Like I was done with that real quick. But what started that is I had a page that I put 12 blocks on it. And that's where it started, 12 boxes. And I kept asking myself, is this educational? Am I talking to a buyer? Am I talking to a seller? And I wanted to make sure that I could make sure that I'm hitting all the avenues, something personal, something funny about me. And I would map it out for the week or for the 12 days. And so I would try to post 12 times within 1 week. Okay. And I would schedule them out. I would sit down on Sunday and I would schedule them out. So, and then I finally found Coffee and Contracts and Modern Agent. And so now I use their content and then I would just go and plug it into my boxes and schedule it that way. So I'm still using paper calendar for my content. And then what I've also added to that, if you guys want a copy, send me a DM and I'll share it with you. But what I've also done is I needed what's more important than just posting, which I realized is that the engagement and who am I interacting with is also needs to be trackable. I also need to be keeping up with what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. So one page is the calendar, like where I write in all the content that I'm going to do. And then sometimes I put my call to action on there so that I know that I have one. But on the other side, the next page is I have who am I interacting with? What hashtags am I using? Which videos, which reels, what is it that I need for the week? I can plan that out. Okay. So let's see. I know we're almost done. Then we're going to ask for some questions. So recap real quick. Here's why you need a strategy for social media, but keep it simple. Don't overthink it. Is what do you want to be? Who do you want to be on social media? What are you trying to what is your persona? Why are you on social media? Like, what are you using it for? Like all those questions in one thing. I know that was kind of like a broad statement there, but you really got to get laser focused and understanding. Here's the way that I put it. I'm trying to think of a better way to say this. I'm never going to cold call. I don't want to cold call. I don't ever want to do it. It makes me angry to even think about it, right? But one of the motivating factors for me when I get burnt out on social media, or I'm thinking, God, this is not paying off, or I can't believe I'm still doing this and whatever, is I ask myself, do I want to pick up the phone and do I want to lead gen and make cold calls? And instantly I'm like, I'd much rather be building relationships with real people on Instagram. Okay. So if that doesn't motivate you to get on here and create a strategy, then I don't know what will. Okay. Because for me, it's cold calling, not doing it. And then you want to know about your target audience. It's so important that you've got to find your target audience. Figure out who your client avatar is. Who are you talking to? Who are you trying to attract? You guys, there's nothing worse. Like I'll post, before and after picture, you guys on my weight loss journey that some of you guys have seen. And I used 75 hard. This is before I knew anything about hashtags. I used hashtag 75 hard. And I'm not kidding you. I had I think we got up to 2,000 likes on one of my pictures. And it was based on all on this hashtag. And then these people started, friend requesting, which is great because I love motivated people. If you're doing 75 hard and you're following that hashtag, we're probably somewhat similar people. Okay. But I realized I might have gotten, 20 to 30, 40 new followers from that one post, but they're nobody that's going to be doing business with me. Right. Nobody was engaging. Nobody was, it was like a one-time shot because my page is not about fitness. My page is not about my journey. My page is simply to say those posts are to say, hey, I struggle too, and this is where I'm at. This is who I am. But I've got to be the hashtags that I have to use still have to relate to who I'm trying to attract. Okay. So your target audience is the most important thing that you've got to figure out before you create a strategy. What are you going to share? Are you sharing educational stuff? Are you sharing funny stuff? Tips and tricks? What is it that you're going to be sharing? How do you want to show up? What do you want to come from contribution? How do you want to help people on Instagram? And then the last one is, when are you going to share? You guys, there's a certain time of the day that your followers are on Instagram, and you need to know those times. Now, the times for us, which are probably the same for a lot of people with, kids and jobs and things, is 7 p.m. Well, that time wasn't going to work for us because we do such a great job of commenting and engaging 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after. And I'm not doing that at 7 p.m. at night. I'm not going to be on Instagram engaging that late. Okay. And neither is Taylor. So Taylor is like a part-time job, part-time marketing coordinator, and she has certain hours. So our second best time was 3 p.m. So at 3 p.m. we go on, we post, 2:30 we're commenting. And then of course, after we're commenting and engaging. So you've got to know your times. That's got to be in your strategy too. Okay. Now, one of the things that I get all the time is, where do you get your content? I've already told you guys I pay for some of the things. If you ever see a still picture and some content after it, we use Copy Contracts or Modern Agent. And I will tell you, 9 times out of 10, we change it up and make it into words that fit my personality. We add different emojis. We'll do a different call to action. We definitely don't just copy and paste. You'll never see that. One of the things that we also use that I always get is, what was I going to say? Oh, blogs. So here's the biggest thing right here. Google is your best friend. How I create the content and where if you want to come up with it yourself is that go think about you as a real estate agent. The first thing that somebody says, the first thing that ever happens in a transaction is that they're thinking, should I buy a house right now? Okay, guess what? That's a post right there. Start from the very beginning. Are you considering buying a house? Because that's the first thing that has to happen, right? The first person that somebody does is they have to think about it. Should I sell my house? So your first post can be, how do you know if it's time to sell your house? All right, Google that and see what comes up. See what comes up, and that's your first post. The second post is, okay, well, now that I know that I want to sell my house, I've made the decision that I want to upsize. I can't change the things that I want to change in here, so it's time for me to move. Then what happens next? What should somebody do next? Call a real estate agent, right? So the next question is how do I hire a real estate agent? That's post number 2, right? And then you're going to say, here's 5 questions you should ask your real estate agent when you interview them. That's post number 3. Here's 5 places you should look to find a real estate agent. That's post number 4. The problem is you guys are wanting to put, and I say you guys, I'm talking to myself. You guys are wanting to put so much information in one post that you're like, well, how in the heck am I supposed to come up with 365 days all over again for the rest of my life? You need to stop putting so much information in one post. Okay. You're overkilling it. You're overthinking it. Literally, most people like short and sweet stuff. That's it. And you can do 1 or 2 a day if you want to. Just keep it short and sweet and simple. Okay. So then go to the next step. So now they hired an agent. They're interviewing an agent. or they need to get a lender. So start with the lending side. How do I find a lender? Great. Here's 5 ways that you can find a lender. Here, next post, here's 5 questions you should ask your lenders when comparing lenders. Okay. All of these are posts. And they're going to say, when they get to the lender, they're going to ask the lender questions. How much do I need to have down? What type of loans are there? Each one, you can do one post. What is a conventional loan versus an FHA loan? That's one post. Right? So do you guys see what I'm saying? Is that you're overthinking creating your content. Every single time that somebody, one of our clients or an agent DMs me, or somebody on Instagram DMs me, just anytime someone asks me a question, I write it down. Because if one person is asking me a question, then 30 people behind them have the same question. All that is content for me. If something happened that day, if I'm answering, like putting out fires, or, you know, like why, like, for example, I could use this one today. We have a closing on Thursday. Typically we get sellers contributions for repairs, but this is a relocation company. And so they've offered to fix the AC. So, you know, a post would be, what happens when the sellers give, make the repairs versus give seller contributions? How soon before closing should you make sure the repairs are done? Do you re-inspect? What's the process? That's a post, right? That's a post. Do you guys see how easy that is to come up with that content? You're just overthinking it. It's not that hard. Literally right now, today, I could sit down and come up with 365 posts in about 2 hours. Now, yes, we got to come up with the picture and the visual part of it and the hashtags. Yes, all that takes time, but the content is not where that's not the time. Okay. That's not where the time is coming from. That's the easy part. You guys are just overthinking that. So what I want you guys to focus on is, let's first send me a DM if you want the calendar to schedule it, your calendar schedule to plan it out. And then the second thing I want you guys to focus on is, who are you talking to? Make sure that if I clicked on your profile, in your profile, for one, I know where you're doing real estate. Number 2, make sure that your content that you're posting is something about you, what you're trying to accomplish. Yes, I want you to show up personally, you know, even if you don't have business or houses or whatever to post, show up personally. You are the brand. So let people get to know you. Your reels do not always have to be real estate related. They can be funny mom stuff. They can be, you know, like, you guys have seen all the reels and the TikToks out there. It doesn't always have to be your industry related. They want to know you too. Okay. I'm gonna pause real quick. Does anybody have any questions? I don't think I have it on the right screen to see.
I think Nikki had a question.
Go for it.
Yep. Okay. So I was wondering, how many hours does your marketing coordinator typically spend per week engaging on your posts?
So I've gotten really lucky with my team, and because we're all quick to respond. It's just in our nature. I think as real estate agents, that's just who we are too, and where we have to do a better job of not always being on. Like, we talk about how we're always grinding and we're always doing this. I will catch her all the time, like posting, like commenting, and I'm on mine too. And like, she's beat me to it. Like, I'll sit down and be at a red light. The first thing I do is go on Instagram and see who I'm going to comment with. So strategically, though, to answer your question, is that it's always 30 minutes before. And I can tell you guys, when she went on vacation and I was posting myself and there was no engagement, legit, because I was like, I ain't doing it, because I hadn't done it in almost 12. Like, well, when I say at the capacity that she does, y'all, huge difference in that 7 days that she was on vacation. And our following went down, like just went down. Like, it was a weird, like, ghost town. We were still posting them at same. My real views were down. So I know for a fact that engagement works. So you got to do it 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after. And so we only do that Monday through Friday. She does not work on Saturday or Sunday. And I have also decided that on Saturday and Sunday, I'm not posting on Instagram unless I was just out and want to share something with whatever happened. But it's not going to be strategically that I'm working on Saturday and Sunday on Instagram. Not happening. So we'll schedule posts to go.
I wanted to ask you a quick question. So when she's doing this engagement, does she just have like a time, or like, and who exactly is she engaging with? Like, because I know, so I've heard a couple things, like, if you go into your followers, you can see who are you least interacting with. Are they interacting with those people, the most interactive? Or is she just commenting on followers? Like, what's her strategy?
Yeah, the strategy for that is what hashtags that we're going to be using that day. So for whatever post is she'll go in and she'll click on one of the hashtags that we're going to be using. And 30 minutes before, she'll go through all the hashtags and she'll comment on people in our area if they can, if she can find somebody that we're not already following, right? So engagement with people that we're already following or already interacting with, it's all fun and games. That just stuff happens naturally, and that's super easy for us. The hard part about this is getting it, it's really invasive. Like, you feel awkward commenting on strangers' stuff, but if you do it right and you do it strategically, you're basically just teaching them how to treat you. And they're just like, wow, that's really cool that she just said that. I'm just a random person, right? So like, if somebody that you know commented on somebody, or somebody pinned a post like that, you know, mutual friends, get there and comment. Get there and comment, or see that somebody is always showing up on that hashtag, go in there and comment on their stuff, and just, you know, start an engagement. You'll see if they'll come back and follow you. I don't just follow everybody. Like, I don't go in there and follow like five. That's on my calendar. That used to be a thing. It's I would go in there and try to follow 10 people every single day just to get them to follow me back. Like, comment, comment. And that's not what I did that for about 2 months. I was like, you know what? This is dumb. That's so stupid. I don't want people just to come back and like my stuff. And what's so funny is I can tell when people do that now. Like, I literally eye roll when I see somebody give me like 10 likes and 1 comment and then a follow. And I'm just like, did you just copy that right out of the book? I mean, like, and I'll never see you again, right? So I'd rather somebody come in, comment on something of mine, and then go off and never see them again for 2 or 3 days than somebody give me 10 likes and a follow. That will never get me to follow your stuff. It just ain't gonna happen. So I probably squirrel rabbit trail there for a little bit, but always 30 minutes before we post and 30 minutes after we post. Now, we are just naturally on our phones because we like Instagram. So we're engaging in that, but strategically, you're going to search the hashtags that you're going to be using one by one. Then so like, it'll say hashtag mom boss. Let's just say that's what we use, hashtag mom boss. And then we're going to click on recent, and you're going to see what people are posting on that hashtag. Click on a picture or on a reel that you like and comment and say that's hilarious or whatever. I can relate to that, or ask, where did you get that shirt? Comment with more than just an emoji. Okay. And then go in there and like some of their stuff too, if you want to, but don't just go in there and like 4 things and follow. Don't just there's no rhyme or reason how to do that. But we spend good 5 solid days, especially before a reel. You guys, I'm telling you, we've seen it with our own eyes. The number of likes and follows and comments and shares that you get is based on our engagement, 1,000%. If anybody asks me to this day, what's the number one thing for our growth on Instagram, it's engagement and how we treat people on Instagram. I freaking love it. And Taylor just does an amazing job. It's just time that I don't have. And I don't feel bad about it. I used to feel like, that's so weird. Like, Taylor's commenting on all this stuff. It's not even me. But you know what? Like, she's talking like me. If she was talking in a way that didn't relate to who I am, there's no way, of course, I would feel that comfortable with it. But you've got to find somebody that's going to talk in the demeanor that you do. You know, if it's your girl gang, or, you know, however that you show up, they've got to be able to relate your personality and the way they comment or the way they're engaging. Okay. Like, and I tell her too, is like, you talking too many complete sentences. Like, I don't talk like that. Like, I don't type like that. So don't be so perfect. But yeah, they've got to show up like you do. So if I had to say a total engagement, if you were going to time block it, then be strategic, 30 minutes before your post and 30 minutes after your post. But I would say a minimum of 1 hour a day. And that's all in. Like, all in, no distractions, because that's what happens. You guys will pick up our phone and be like, oh, I got to engage today. And then 6 hours later, what have you done? Nothing. It is literally Instagram, and thinking that you're working your strategy on Instagram will suck the life out of you. That is one thing that I have decided that I'm going to be doing, or we do a very good job of, is we're in there and we're out of there. Like, that's it. Like, I only have certain days now that I go in there and look for reels, and write them down and do them and do it. That way, when I sit down to do them, I go to my save, they're in there, and I have tons to choose from. I don't ever want to sit down and try to do a reel and be looking for one that day, because it will never happen. Because talking about comparison, thief of joy, that's the worst day to try to find a reel, is when you know you got to do a reel. Like, it's like, I have like 5 minutes to get this in, and these are taking me 30 minutes for 5 seconds. So have a better strategy when you're actually looking for things that you want to do. Good questions.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
The 30 minutes after that you're still engaging, are you engaging with still these people that you're not following? Because I mean, obviously you're hoping to engage with anyone who comments, but
Yeah.
if you're just starting up, you might not get many comments. So do you just keep engaging?
Yeah. Well, so the first thing that you'll do, and some of you guys may have noticed this if you comment on our stuff a lot, is we'll just go through there and either do one of the two things. One of the two things that we don't give you a heart for your comment and reply to your comment. One thing that we'll do is one day we'll just give a heart, or we'll go back and just comment. And then just depends on what we feel. If it was like super funny and your comment was amazing and we feel like we need to react right then, we'll reply to your comment, but we won't heart it. And then the next day, when we're getting ready to engage again, we go back to the previous day's worth of stuff, and then we'll go back and do either or. So if we didn't heart it, then we'll give it a heart. And if we didn't reply, then we'll give it a reply, because we know those people are going to come back and help us with our engagement. They're going to pull us back into the algorithm, because we know that's like our hardcore people, right? So you don't want to just always give all the hearts and comment on every single thing that same day. You got to spread it out to the next day.
You're so
when you're
smart,
getting ready to
April. Oh my God, you're so smart.
Well, I don't know where I got that from, but that we know that just helps, right? And so, because like, let's say you just give everybody a heart and reply, you've wasted an opportunity to get those people that are your hardcore commenters and engagers to do it again the next day, right? And so anytime, so it just gives you more opportunity to add more people. And that's a real quick thing, because those people are easy to do. That's the easiest way to get your engagement up, because we know how to talk to those people. The ones that you have to put some thought and energy to is when you click on a hashtag and you're just like, I have no idea who this person is. Like, this is so awkward. And so you gotta have to force that a little bit more. Does that make sense? Yeah, good deal. Those are good questions. I like the questions part. Anybody else?
April, are you changing your hashtags with each post, or do you keep the same ones? And how do you figure out how to do that? I know there's like, you want certain ones have.
Yeah, the thing that I'm
followers.
seeing the most on with hashtags, like the podcast that I listen to, it's all about the hashtags. Do they work? Are they necessary? Yes, yeah, hashtags are probably number two. You can actually see on your insights that if somebody found you from that hashtag. Or you don't know which hashtag, but it's that group of hashtags. And so now one thing that we don't do anymore is say that we need 30 hashtags, because that stuff is getting exhausting to come up with 30. And then not only, are we like, okay, now we had to use 30, but we heard the algorithm wants you to use 30 different ones, like stop using the same one, stop copy and pasting. I'm notorious. The problem that we have with my reels, and I wish that I could do a better job with this, I'm just finding time to do this. And this is a teaching moment, is Taylor is my marketing coordinator. So she has everything already mapped out and later and scheduled to post. The only sucky part about Instagram is when I batch my reels and I save them in my drafts, it's saved to my phone. So Taylor can't see my drafts. So she can't go in when it's time. I have to let her know and say, hey, what time or this week are we posting our reels? And she puts it in my calendar, post a reel. So she knows to start engaging 30 minutes before, right? And then the second part of that is that since she can't see it, what we started doing this, like I caught myself doing it, because I'll do my reel like in the car, like, oh my gosh, I got to get a reel out today. But one thing I don't have done or ready is the hashtags. Like, what am I going to use? And so you'll see a lot of times I'm guilty where I'll just go to my reel that had a lot of views and like I'll copy and paste them, and I'm like, oh God, those don't even match what I just talked about. And I'll go into Taylor and I'm like, hey, can you put some hashtags in this? And so once I've posted it, she can see it. Now, to that, next week, we're testing this theory. We've heard that if you post the reel, which is so dumb, if you post the reel and then you come back and edit it, meaning that you come back and you add your hashtags later, it kills your algorithm, like instantly halts it. So we're going to try to do a better job of batching, because I quit batching there for the longest time, because I heard Instagram was deleting the reels, and I was like, there's no way that I'm going to sit here and do all these reels and drive myself bonkers to log in and that crap be gone one day. So I have not had it happen to me because I haven't done it yet. I haven't batched since like 3 weeks, literally. But I do miss batching, and so I'm getting back to that. And here's what I've learned: if that happens, they said, go ahead and put save. What I guess the part that would suck the most of a reel that got deleted is that all the words underneath it. The reel, I'm like, okay, I can do that again. That's not a big deal. But sitting there and typing out the content underneath it and putting the hashtag and for that to be gone, lose my mind. So what they're saying is post the reel. If you're going to batch your reels, save them in the drafts, but copy and paste your notes section somewhere else and save them in your phone for that reel. So you can just go back and copy and paste it in there. So that's not gone. So I'm going to try that. But also what we're going to test that theory is to go ahead and make sure their hashtags are put in there from the very beginning, and that we're not going to go back and edit anything or add anything afterwards, and just see if that can get our views back up. Because I feel like our views on Instagram for our reels are kind of down. And I'm sure I have a lot to do with, like, I'm telling myself it's because I do the same shit every single day. Like, if you look at my reels profile, it's like my face, like, like people are probably just tired of seeing it. So I need to do a better job. I know that, right? But the views are down. So we're going to try to figure out if it is the hashtags, if it is because we're using the same hashtags over and over again, and if we're going back and just copying and pasting. And then if we're not going to go back and edit it anymore. I hope that makes sense.
I've done several courses on hashtags and stuff. And I took this pretty expensive hashtag course. And they did say you should be changing up your hashtags every post. You can, like, every 5th day reuse that same, like those same hashtags, but change out a few. I've also heard that you have 20 minutes to go in and add hashtags. I do notice a massive view difference if I put my hashtags in my reels when I'm posting compared to when I go back and add them in after. Let's say I don't have them ready to go. And I'm always afraid that I'm going to lose my reel. Same thing. I'm always afraid that if it close out of that app, is it going to go away? So I try to have them ready on my copied and ready to go in. But I have several different lists of hashtags. So what I'll do sometimes is just, I have them all in a form, like in my note section, and I'll just copy and paste a section. And then it'll say like too many hashtags or something. So I'll go back and delete a few, but I do try to customize for each reel what it's about. But it's still like, I find I have like one set that does really, really well. And you can do that, like you were saying, like they have those insights where you can see what hashtags are doing the best. There is a tip, and I don't know, April, if you know this, if you try to run an ad on Instagram, you have to put in all your info and everything, put in your credit card and everything, and then it'll push you to the next screen and it'll tell you which hashtags perform the best. Then you just copy those down, cancel out of it. It doesn't charge your card anything, but you can see which hashtags are actually performing and getting you the most people to your page. So there's a lot of strategy behind it, using different hashtags that have different amount of views. If you are consistent with it and you really follow those rules, you see a lot more engagement. Now, I don't do a lot of the stuff that you do with this whole like engage before and engage after. I would really love to know if Taylor's available for more people.
She's not. I'm waiting for her kids started school so she can go full time with me. So nice. She's out. Awesome. She's out.
You need more Taylor's for us. But yeah, I mean, I definitely see a massive difference in views and comments and likes when you use hashtags. If you don't, and you go back, like you said, it just wrecks everything. So you have to be good about making sure you're putting them in the beginning.
Yeah. And, and so to go back to the whole, making sure that we answer the question, are you overthinking your Instagram strategy? Yes, you are 1,000%. No matter what you're thinking, how low level you think that you're overthinking. It is you showing up on a national platform, worldwide platform to be social. And what you're doing is you're posting and ghosting, for one, if if it's not growing the way that you want it to. And posting and ghosting means is that you're just posting it and you're ghosting. Number 2 is make sure that you're using carousels. All right. I don't know if you guys have picked up on this, but carousels are like the number one thing right now to get more engagement on your stuff. And the reason for that is because if the first picture of your carousel, like what we've also done, little tidbit on our strategy, is my face is on every single post from, I think we started this about 2 months ago, where we don't even put a picture of a house on there anymore. Like the house stuff goes on Facebook. Every single first picture on my profile on my Instagram page is my face. Even if it's the one from Coffee and Contracts, all I do is take a still picture or a selfie, and then I put their words on in a Canva. My face is going to go there. It's not a kitchen. You can't get that freaking kitchen in Pearland. You can't get that patio in Pearland. Why am I going to post that? Right? Like, no, there's no houses where I live that look like that. I see it all the time. Like, I'll see people in, a different state or city or in Houston with this white big house and these black trim or Pearland. I'm like, we can't paint our houses white here. We got HOAs. Like, we all love that house, right? So you want your content, your picture to be relatable. The carousels, if you've noticed this, because I've gotten caught on this. I'm like, dang, that was weird. Like, I will carousel one time over to see somebody's stuff and see that it goes to like more infographic. And I'm like, I don't want to read that. Like, the first picture is cute. I'm like, oh, let me keep going. Then I'm like, nah. But then when I scroll, when I get back on my phone, you've noticed that it leaves the carousel where I left off on their profile. So I'm like, oh, look, she posted again. Let me scroll again. Let me see what all this, and it looks like a whole different post, but it's bringing me back to her original post. And that makes the algorithm, the longer that I'm on her stuff or that person's stuff, the more it keeps it in the algorithm. Okay, so carousels are really big. If you can use anywhere from 5 to 7, even 10, that is the best option for a carousel. So make sure that you're using those. Stories, use your stories. You guys, this is the best way to get your engagement. And also give back to those people. Teach people how to treat you. Yes, your stories are not going to bring in more followers, but it's going to get you to teach the people how to engage on your content. So if you're following people, go through your stories, spend some time through there. And if they have a sticker or a sliding thing, do all the things for them, because they're going to show up and do the same thing for you. Okay. So, and then that's how you also need to be using those in your stories too. Okay. That's where you're starting to teach people how to engage on your content. Live videos, you guys, they do not have to be long. Get on there and do 5 minutes and say, hey, this was a question that my client asked me today. I thought I would come on here and tell you guys. He asked me today, we have a closing on Thursday. The AC needed to be repaired. Are we going to call the inspector to come back out and look at it, or are we just going to go with it? What are we going to do? So that's a post. The 30 seconds, I can answer that question and put a live IGTV on there. Make it a reel if you want to, right? There's no wrong way to show up on Instagram. It's just show up. Now, what I did write on the last thing on this, because I know we're fixing to wrap this up, is consistency. You guys, the only thing that you need to write in your strategy is freaking consistency. I don't give a doo-doo what you're doing. I don't care what you're doing, how you're doing it, showing up, but whatever you're going to do, you're going to commit to that for a long time. Okay. And then, and I would say if you don't have a strategy at all, pick one thing and say, this week, I'm going to post consistently this amount of times, 7 days this week. I'm going to post every single day. Right. And start there. And then I'm going to say, you know what, I'm going to schedule a photographer and I'm going to go out and get my pictures made. You guys, I spend $150 when I go and get my professional pictures done by a mom in my neighborhood. And with the photo apps, the editing apps that we have on our stuff, I can put Lightroom and put a filter on that stupid thing for $150. You guys, I have 2 months worth of pictures. I go in there and I take 5 or 7 outfits and I'm ready to go. But let me tell you what I do more than anything is I take my 13-year-old daughter and I say, would you like some Starbucks? Would you like some cookies from Cumble Cookie? Get in the car and let's go. We have a photo shoot today. And literally the last ones that I did were with my iPhone and my 13-year-old daughter. That's it. You guys are the ones out in the city. Like, we always joke around, I take the candid shots because it takes like 72 pictures to get one pictures with the 15-year-old son. But it's funny. That's more content that I get to put out there. It's like, look, we did all these pictures for this one picture with my 15-year-old today. But that's, again, you guys are overthinking it. And that's because I did too. It was always like, oh my gosh, I got to get myself ready today. I got to put makeup on. I don't feel like it. No, people are they want to see you. They want to see you in the shit show that you are. They want to see it. They want to see what you look like. They want you to show up as you. Okay. So stop overthinking it. Come from contribution. I can literally put my hair in a bun with workout clothes and say, hey, I just wanted to come on here and let you guys know my buyer asked me this morning. And I thought this was a great question. He asked me, do we need to have an inspector come back out and re-inspect the AC before closing? What do you guys think? And I can have my workout shirt on and my hair in a bun. That doesn't mean that that content that I'm not putting out there, they're not going to listen to it. They're going to relate to me. They're going to say, I trust her and I want to work with her. Okay. Any more questions? Those are good stuff, you guys. You guys are good. I love talking to y'all. Y'all have great questions.
I think that's good. I love that. What you were just talking about, those pictures of you like with your eyes half closed that you're taking. Those are hilarious. I like the bloopers. I think that's funny.
I wish somebody could like record the conversations. It's like I just need like 30 minutes. Like you could have had this done in 5 seconds. Like we're out here arguing and sweating. Like, can you just take the freaking picture? Like, I wish somebody was recording the conversations between them. Yeah.
I love it. It's hilarious. Well, does anybody else have any questions? We are at 2 o'clock almost here. So does anybody else have any questions for April before we sign off here?
Well, you guys send me a DM on Instagram and I will, or comment somewhere in here that you want, and I will send you I'm sure you guys are way more elevated than my old calendar. I don't use it anymore, but I love it when I get back to basics to say, hey, what are we doing? Why are we missing this? I love going back to that calendar. And you can just make it your own. And if you want a copy of where I started, how to schedule, who to engage with, like a checklist, it's on there. So just let me know and I'll get you a copy of it.
April, I put your Instagram your Instagram handle in the chat. I also put links for Coffees and Contracts and Modern Agent Social Club. So if people are interested, I'm also a part of both of those groups. They're content groups for your content, basically.
Perfect.
Social media. It's amazing. Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much, April. I really appreciate it. Anybody has any questions about anything, feel free to reach out to April, reach out to me. We'll see you guys next week. We have another awesome guest on next week, and hopefully we'll see you all there.
Thank you. Thanks, Nicole and Lee. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Have a good week. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.